News 2. It's Deace in the Afternoon on News Radio 1040 WHO.
4:19 here on News Radio 1040 WHO. There's an event coming up in our community on Sunday. It's called Celebrate the Family with Mike Huckabee. You can get more information on this at ifpc.org. That's ifpc.org. And if you want to get a preview of this event, with us now on our WHO Radio Newsmaker line is the 2008 Iowa Caucus winner, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee. And Mike, welcome back to Deace in the Afternoon. We appreciate the time.
Steve, it's been a long time. It's great to talk to you again.
It has been a long time. And what have you been up to the last couple of years? What have you been doing?
Oh, not much. Just busy doing radio 5 days a week, television every weekend, speaking all over the country, and traveling on behalf of about 127 candidates that my PAC endorsed this year.
How did your PAC do? Everybody likes to keep... I see that the media is obsessed with keeping a Sarah Palin scorecard on her endorsements. So how did you guys do in terms of your endorsements this year?
Well, it was really pretty phenomenal. We had about an 80% success rate. And one of the things that makes that significant is that the candidates that we pick are not necessarily the candidates that are the establishment candidates. They usually aren't. We pick the people that we believe represent the principles that we think are important. First of all, we only support solidly pro-life candidates. We support people, in many cases, who are underdogs, people that aren't getting a lot of the media attention because we know that they need it. And I've been in that position, and so if my presence or endorsement can help give them a little buzz and give them some attention, then that's one of the things that we try to do. So when we started looking at our list, frankly, we ourselves were thrilled and amazed and somewhat surprised with so many of our candidates winning, a lot of them going to Congress, a few going to the Senate, and then quite a few going to other races at the state level, governors, state senators, and a host of others. But it was a phenomenal night for us.
Let's talk about what you've been up to the last couple of years, because I've been asked a question quite a bit by our listeners if I thought you would run for president again in 2012. And I'd love to give you a chance to respond to something I have said to our listeners when this question has come up on a few occasions in the last couple of years. And my answer to that has been, what I think would be interesting is, when you have been a pastor and a politician, those are really two fields that if you do them with integrity, you don't get rich doing that stuff, okay? And I'm guessing that for the first time, Mr. Huckabee is making maybe some real money in his life working for Fox News and ABC radio networks, and maybe you do that after a while and you think, I can have an impact on the debate and what happens in this country, and that doesn't mean I've got to work and hit the grind of a campaign trail 12, 14, 16 hours a day and shake a bunch of people's hands and pretend to like a bunch of campaign rivals I really can't stand. I kind of get to call my own shot. And I thought it'd be interesting to see if you'd be willing to get back into the fight again, given what's gone on the last couple of years. Let's get your take on that.
Well, no doubt that I've done better financially in the media world than I did as a pastor or governor. In fact, I did better as a pastor than a governor. I took a pay cut from being a pastor to become governor. One of the things that was a very tough thing was that in order to go into politics, it meant going through my annuities, cashing out life insurance. I was not a wealthy man when I started, and I was pretty well obliterated by the time I had finished. So I've spent the last couple of years trying to get back on my feet, replenish my life insurance account that I had borrowed from, trying to get my annuity back that I had cashed out. It's not going to be the key factor, however. I mean, my wife and I started out with absolutely nothing. So we've been there. And, we've been able to enjoy a lot more in the last couple of years. It's enabled us to give more. We've been able to do things we were never able to do before. We gave to a lot of candidates, not only through the PAC, but personally. So those things are nice, but it's not going to be the criteria. One of the things that I've got to look through is there support for a campaign? And frankly, one thing that I would love to see change, in fact, I think I may issue a public challenge that anyone who runs for president who is a current member of the House or Senate would resign that post in order to run, because it's not fair that they get the taxpayer-funded salary and staff and all the amenities with that, including their pension benefit, and never show up for work. A second thing I'd love to see is that it would be illegal for federal candidates to transfer large bank accounts that they have amassed as a Senate or House candidate into a presidential race. I think it's a blatant end around the rules of not only fairness, but the rules of what ought to be legal.
Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee with us on our WHO Radio Newsmaker line, 2008 Iowa caucus winner. So, Mike, let me just ask up front, are you going to run for president again in 2012? I'm
not ruling it out. And that's not a yes, but it's definitely not a no. You know, it was interesting to me, the Des Moines Register several months ago made a glaring error in saying that I made some comment that I wasn't going to run. I never said that. Chris Wallace on an interview asked me, was I going to? I said, Chris, I don't know. He said, if you had to make the decision right now. I said, right now I might be leaning against it. This was over a year ago. And what I was saying to him was, this is no time for me to make that decision. We were a year away from the 2010 elections. Well, he took that, well, maybe not even he, but the Des Moines Register took it as Huckabee says he's not running. I never said that. And so the honest answer is, I'm keeping it open as an option. I'm looking at whether or not there's a pathway to victory. As I have told several people, I'm not jumping into a pool when there's no water in it. And one of the things that made it very difficult last time was I was constantly faced with a lot of negative money from opponents, some of which came through their campaigns, some which came through secondary organizations like the Club for Growth, and they would attack me and attack my record, and I had no financial wherewithal to respond and put the facts out. And quite frankly, if it weren't for people like you that actually decided they didn't just believe everything that they read on the internet, but went in and did an analysis of actual records, it would have been very difficult for me to have won the Iowa caucuses and to have gone on to become second in the Republican nominee process. By the way, coming in second, which still is often overlooked, and I hear even on the network with which I'm currently associated, that I was not even second. They'll say, and you know, the runner-up was Mitt Romney, which he was not. I had the second number of delegates. Those are things that you want to be able to overcome. You just want to deal with truth and fact. And, of course, when I'm there this weekend, it's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be a great opportunity for us to be reminded that, yes, the economic issues are important. We are concerned about jobs, about economic recovery, about getting control of a government that spent money that it doesn't have and borrowed money it can't pay back, but that poverty is still largely the result of the breakdown of the traditional family. When kids grow up without a mother and a father, and you have mothers and fathers who don't work, and mothers and fathers who live off government assistance, and who don't finish their education, you're going to have increased poverty. The poverty rate is higher today than it has been since we started keeping stats about the poverty rate. So with all the talk about how much the government can do to deal with poverty and to spend more money at the government level to address it, truth is we're never going to deal with poverty until we deal with strong mothers and fathers raising kids.